I once stripped naked, then accidentally climbed into bed with my father-in-law.
Elsie, were you drunk?
Yes.
Was it his bed or was it a spare bed in your house?
It was our bedroom in our house, and they'd been babysitting. And so I noticed another presence in the bed, which I assumed to be my wife.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
lovely thing to say about your wife.
Well,
Sorry, love, it's just that you look like, you know, your dad.
it was dark. It was dark. She'd gone to bed before me, and she said, watching telly, you know...
What were you watching, just out of interest?
I can't remember that.
What time was it?
4 o'clock in the morning.
4 o'clock in the morning, probably repeats of this on Dave.
So this is your bed. Where were you then? Were on sofas downstairs?
No, we were in the spare room.
Oh, that's lovely. You've given up your superior bed.
Yes.
For the in-laws.
Yeah.
Lee, what do you do when your in-laws come round?
I make up a really lovely, lovely bed with lovely silk sheets and a lovely thing and put that in the shed.
So you've come into bed. You think that your wife, she's gone ahead of you.
I thought it should be spark out, you know.
Spark out in the bed.
Yeah, yeah. And I've often done this journey in the dark. So she's often in bed before me.
Yes,
And
yes.
I know what to do. I can do it in the dark. Whip the clothes off, round the side of the bed, leap in, give her a snuggle.
Oh, did you give her a snuggle?
I went to give her a snuggle.
Oh, no,
Did you?
naked?
Naked.
Which way was he facing?
Thank God he was back the other way. I spooned him.
You spooned him?
Like that makes it better. I think it's worse.
I think you'd have to have done it both ways to know which was worse.
That's true.
Were you spooning in the way you spoon when you want to have a cuddle as you go to sleep? Or were you spooning in a way which was hoping to just nudge her awake?
Luckily...
There's a subtle difference between those two.
I know that sort of difference. But luckily, I wasn't quite that excited yet.
Yes!
No. Oh, my word. It's quick, though. I mean, honestly, I whip it back, whip the thing. I jump in, I go for the spoon. And as I'm sort of approaching the body in the bed, I hear John. And I literally flew out of bed. Ah! And then the lamp went on, and I'm trying to put my underpants back on.
Oh, you're completely naked?
Yeah. The whole thing. I'm trying to get my twisted, fell over. It was like a comedy. It was ridiculous.
Why would you go to the effort of trying to put your underpants on in front of them?
Because I was naked.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do it in front of them. This is right.
Just grab them and leave.
That's the sort of strategic decision you make when you're used to doing that. The first time, you can very easily think, I both want to leave and dress myself, and make the mistake of trying to do the two things at once.
Yeah.
And what happened in terms of the father-in-law?
He was very, very lovely about it, and he went, one too many last night? And I went, yeah. And that was it.
What are you thinking? Is it striking you as true?
That's definitely possible. I believe he has issues with alcohol.
I'm going true.
You're saying true?
Yeah, yeah.
OK. I will go with my team and blame them.
You say it's true? OK. John, were you telling us the truth, or were you telling us a lie?
It is, in fact, sadly, true.
Oh. Yes, it's true. John did climb into bed naked with his father-in-law.
I used to have a job in a safari park gift shop and regularly shared my bed with a lion cub.
Lee Mack's team.
What year was this? Or what rough year? I don't need the exact year.
Is that your opening question, Lee? What year was this? I don't need the exact year.
Well, I didn't want to embarrass Karen in case you said, you know, it was when I was 18 in 1642. I'd just say, give me the decade.
It was in the mid-70s.
So mid-70s, and you worked in a safari park?
I worked in a safari park gift shop.
Which safari park?
Windsor. Yeah, I lived in the safari park at the time. I lived in the safari park at the time.
You did?
With my sister.
But how could you live in it?
And she's human.
She had a house in the safari park.
Is it because she was connected with the safari park?
Yes,
Did they build round her? Did she buy it when it was just in a field? And then one morning she was lying there, she heard this.
She lived in the safari park with her husband,
Yeah.
who
Has he got a
worked
name?
with the animals.
Has he got a name, the husband?
Francis.
Right.
He would bring home the little babies who'd been rejected by their mothers.
Don't, you're going to make me go.
So I went there one summer and there was a penguin in the bath and a lion cub in my bed. So I slept with a lion cub for the summer.
Carol, nothing happened, did it?
It did. No, it did.
God!
No, it only happened when my mum came down from Wales. And she walked into the bedroom and screamed.
I bet
because
she
she
did.
saw me in bed with a lion cub.
How big is the cub? Are we talking, like, very young? Or...
Well, when I got there, it was that big.
Oh, yeah. It was that big by the time she'd finished. Did you sleep with any other animals while you were there? That's a genuine question.
No, I had a bath with a penguin.
You didn't?
Obviously. Was he in the bath and you got in unsolicited, or...?
No, he was in the bath.
He was already in
cold
there.
water.
Right.
So I had to get the penguin out of the cold water. And
Did
put
you
him in the
pick up that
kitchen.
So what are you thinking, Lee?
I don't know. What do we think?
I think it could be true.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous, but she's so convincing.
When you say...
I wish she was on our team.
You're not...
So, Lee, what's it going to be? Truth or a lie?
You're
I
saying...
say it's true.
True. You're saying...
Oh, I'll go true. I'm malleable. Yeah, true.
You're saying true?
Yeah, true.
OK. Carol Vorderman. Lion cub in the bed. Truth or lie?
True.
Wow!
Yes, it's true.
I have a didgeridoo suspended from a tree in my back garden so that when the wind blows in a particular direction, it parps soothing sounds of the Outback into my bedroom window.
David's team, what do you think?
Parps soothing sounds of the Outback.
Yes.
What a poetic way of putting it.
Thank you.
Do you genuinely believe that that particular instrument makes a parp?
How would you describe it, Greg?
It's
Says here. And how soothed do you feel?
Right, everyone stop parping.
I get this every night in my house, please.
Where is it, Bob? It's in a tree.
Yeah.
And you've made a conscious decision to put it in the tree.
Yeah.
I thought you said it was hanging from a tree.
What it is it's trapped in a V. Is there a name for that area of a tree? Is it called the Clooney or something?
It's called...
Clooney?
What's the not to believe George Clooney's holding a didgeridoo at Madrid in his garden? Why don't you believe this?
This part of your finger there is called the Clooney.
Is
So
it?
I'm assuming
I never knew
that's
that.
why I said Clooney. I know
Right.
it's Clooney. Where it... And it's wedged there.
It's wedged in the tree's V.
Yes, it's wedged horizontally in the tree's V, facing southeast, which is the prevailing wind where I live.
Where do you live? Not Britain.
Britain.
No, the prevailing wind in Britain is southwesterly.
It doesn't happen every night.
So tell us what this sound does for you, then. You're lying in bed at night and you had a lovely day, you're just settling down, and you hear... And then what happens to you?
I'm soothed. And the mind is soothed. You know, you get things that will do the same thing to, say, your throat.
Yes.
It does it to the mind.
What if your brain's fine? You don't want to hear that every time it's windy.
You're always soothing your brain. That's what sleep is.
Hence the success of the pillow.
Yeah.
Can I just say, though, Bob, I've been led to believe by out-of-work hippies over the years that the didgeridoo is an incredibly difficult instrument to play, and yet it would appear that all one has to do is to pass air through it.
No, well, you have to position it correctly, just as you would have to over your mouth. I've done that by utilising the Clooney of the tree.
You're using the Clooney of the tree as human lips. Even to get any kind of noise out of a didgeridoo, the Clooney, which doesn't exist, on Bob's tree, would have to be flesh-like, because an Aboriginal doesn't just go through it, because it's not just wind. They use their lips
Very good point. Very good point. Just coming up this time of year, I admit it's a lot better. In fact, I have a wisteria that grows through the didgeridoo.
Is it? Of course. Is it
And when the wisteria comes into leaf, not only does it pipe the wind towards the didgeridoo, but it acts as the lips.
It's long been said that if the wind blows in the right direction through wisteria, it can play any instrument in the world. It's time to decide, David. OK, we need to make a guess. What are you going to say?
I think it's a lie.
Of course it's a lie.
We think it's a lie. I think it's a lie. Well, Bob, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
I was lying.
When I was a child, the only thing that would get me to sleep was my parents reading me the takeaway menu from our local Chinese restaurant, the Flying Chopstick.
David's team.
At what age was this?
I'd say it kicked off at 7 and probably lasted about a year.
Was it read out in any type of accent?
No. Well, my dad...
Would you say any type?
Any type.
There's one specific one. If they read it in a French accent, it'd be nice. It's quite surreal, isn't it? But I'll go with it.
My dad is half Polish, half Lithuanian, so it had a sort of Eastern European tinge.
Could you give us a kind of a little rendition?
So it'd be something along the lines of...
This will be interesting.
It'll be something...
We'll just separate ourselves from the person doing the routine.
You don't want to be in the clip when it comes on the news, do you?
So Dad would say, for example, black bean with chop suey, something like that. Black bean.
Was your dad the fella from Sesame Street? One pork balls. 2 lovely pork balls.
You know, lychee for the end of the menu.
Lychee, that's the way. I know that. The Flying Chopstick, they just serve a single lychee, don't they?
Lychee. It was the staple. It was the 70s. Things were a little bit sparse then. It was Wilson's, you know, things are hard. I can't remember his speech, but you know the one I mean. Things are terrible.
Wilson's Things Are Hard.
Wilson's Things Are Hard.
Harold Wilson, Things Are Hard.
We've only got lychees. Things are hard. We've only got lychees, guys.
How far into the menu would you drift off?
That's a very good question.
That's why I asked it.
Yeah. My eye would be sort of fully open, like that. A little bit like...
Just one eye open.
One eye open, always looking, always just checking. And then I would say, by the end of the first page, the eye would be down.
So you used to go to sleep half a face at a time?
Can you remember the first time that this happened?
It would have been... I think it was on a Friday night. Mum and Dad would have been entertaining, and I laughed a lot and then fell asleep.
So what do you think, then? David Hay, how is this striking you?
The detail, the fact that she knew straight away what day it was on a Friday night. I don't remember what day it was when you were 7.
Oh, I
can't
did.
remember last week. I get punched in the head for a living, but...
But, David, they did it a lot. They did it a lot.
Repetition, eh?
Repetition, so I knew the menu back to front, because they had to do it so
Well,
often.
that's just Chinese. It would be that way, no, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
Romesh, what are you thinking?
I think it... I don't buy it.
David? Actually, I've got 2 Davids. We'll call you the Haymaker and the Librarian. What are you thinking, David?
Well, I think I don't believe it.
Do you realise... I like the system you've got there. We're going to call you the Haymaker and the Librarian. So what do you think, David?
I don't think she's at the age of 7.
Yeah.
I think a 7-year-old child will require a coherent story.
All right, so you're saying it's a lie. Well, let's find out. Mel, truth or lie?
The story was, in fact, a lie!
For the past 6 months, I've been using David Mitchell to get me off to sleep each night.
Oh. No further questions, true. OK. What medium are you listening to David through?
I have found a stash of podcasts of The Unbelievable Truth.
Oh, the radio show. For those that don't know, could you describe The Unbelievable Truth?
There's 4 panellists, and they each deliver a lecture, and the other panellists have to... Oh, you see, I'm going off now. Have to find the truth.
Look, this is not going to get picked up by American TV with this bit.
What is it about David's nasal drone that sends you on? What's the quality in there that appeals to you?
It's entertaining and it's soothing. It's like a sort of father telling me a bedtime story.
And how do you listen to him? What have you got headphones and?
No, I just have my phone very close to my pillow.
Oh, it's the speaker on the phone.
Yeah.
But what about your husband?
He takes his deaf aids out. He turns them off at night. You can't hear anything.
He has his own way of listening to David.
There is a lovely rhythmical quality to David's spoken word.
It's very relaxing and it's not in the slightest bit irritating.
No, that's right. That's right.
It's
not in the slightest bit irritating. I'm going to quote you on that because it's not everyone's view.
Series across the box.
He's not irritating, he's tedious.
It's not tedious! No, because if it was tedious, I'd go off on my own train of thought, which would be stimulating and would wake me up. But, you know, a lecture on medieval castles... Whew.
How do you get off at night, Alan?
Not very frequently.
How do you visit the land of Nod?
I spray my pillow.
Steady!
Sleep mist. After which my wife coughs for a bit and I'm asleep.
All right, so what are we thinking now, Leisha? Does this strike you as true?
Not really. I feel like there's so many other things you can listen to that would put you to sleep.
All right, Alan?
Philippa's clearly a fan. True, for me.
All right.
I think it might be true because he has got a voice that can, you know...
Comforting.
That's not the word I was looking for.
What are you going to say?
I think it's true.
You're going to say it's true? OK, Philippa. Truth or lie?
It is...
It's true.
I have made a CD of the sound of my kettle boiling, and I play it every night to help me get to sleep.
Lee's team, is that possible?
Why would that help you get to sleep?
It reminds me of my grandmother, because we were always caravanning when I was little, and she'd be up later than me, and the kettle would be just boiling on the gas stove, and I could hear that little hiss and whistle and the bubbles. I had it done for me by the sound people at work.
You absolute lie. You're trying to tell us... All I'm picturing is a man now with his big things on, going like that, in 5, 4...
I don't know how
you're lying in bed with your husband trying to get to sleep, and you put the sound of a kettle boiling. And he's all right with that, is he?
I go to bed earlier than he does because I have to get up at 5.
Right.
For what? To switch the kettle off.
Have you tried sex?
And plus, when
have you tried sex to get to sleep?
Yeah, because Ken's got a good technique if you want to try it.
What do your kids say about this CD? They think it's weird?
No, they put up with it, you know.
No, you're lying now. Kids think everything is weird. No.
If I'm really, really tired, I'll go upstairs and they will already have put a hot water bottle in the bed and the CD on the thingy.
Oh, goodness, you're just off the scale.
So, Lee, what are you going to say?
I'll say it's a lie.
You're going to say it's a lie? OK, Fern, reveal all.
It's a lie.
Yes, it is a lie. If Fern can't get to sleep, she just rings Philip Schofield and asks him to tell her about his time in Joseph. Again. Oh, and that noise signals time's up. It's the end of the show. And my individual liar of the week this week is Fern Britton. Yes. Fern Britton, whose gigantic whoppers were as beautifully showcased tonight as they were on her 2003 Pilates video.
On doctor's advice, I have to sleep in a cycle helmet due to the violent nature of my dreams.
Well, Lee, where to begin?
Tell us about the violent nature of your dreams.
Yes. I move a lot within the dream. They're active rather than like hack and slash movie type violent. They're more, I'm playing a match or I'm running or something. And I move a lot in the bed.
Dara, what damage can you do to yourself with a pillow?
Well, it's only a pillow can get around, but I can snap. I can, it can go back quite violent. I can recoil.
What does your wife think? Do you share a bed?
I do share a bed, yes.
When did the doctor prescribe the helmet?
It was during my teenage years. It was late teens, whatever, that stage that it began to...
That is the age when you start tossing and turning.
Yes.
I'm not having that. If I can't make an innocent comment, please, this isn't Never Mind Your Buzzcocks. This is true, I dreamt the other night that I was being spooned, I was the spoonee, with a lion. Seriously, and I could feel its big, hairy arms and its legs, well, they're all legs, aren't they? All legs around me, and I could feel it, and I could smell it, and it was so vivid, and I liked it. So the last thing I would have done is lash out because I was feared for my life.
Yeah, but I didn't have that dream.
You feared for your life and you liked it.
It was a lion!
I thought when you said you liked it, you must have in some way thought you were safe with this lion. But it was actually the fear that you liked.
We've all had experiences in bed, David, where we are simultaneously afraid and excited. Yeah?
So, Dara, back to the image.
Yeah.
What do you wear in bed?
Other than that?
Yeah.
Pyjamas and a t-shirt.
It's a lovely look.
The pyjama with the jacket. I don't wear the jacket, though.
No.
Unnecessarily
formal. As if you wear a blazer in bed, it would clash with your cycle helmet.
It is odd, isn't it, the way pyjamas have a collar that could take a tie.
Yeah, back to the cycle helmet.
It's Petr the goalkeeper for Chelsea, right?
You better explain to David who.
Yeah, there's a footballer called Petr Cech who got kicked in the head once, right? Okay,
the goalkeeper's the one that owns the club, right?
Get him, yeah. Anyway, got kicked in the head, and he wears a kind of a padded. It's very similar to that, like, because and if you've had a previous head injury, and I had if you've had a knock in the past.
What was your previous head injury?
I literally fell off a bike when I was a teenager. I went off a bike.
How ironic! They make you wear a cycle helmet to remind you of that terrible day.
When did you start wearing the cycle helmet in bed?
That was when I was 16.
So you've been wearing it in bed since you were 16?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
39.
So obviously on your honeymoon night you wore it, did you?
She was used to that. She'd seen it, yeah.
So every night?
I've heard of
safe sex. During sex? During sex are you wearing it? Because then you're really thrashing around, aren't you?
Do you presume that there's no gap between the end of sex and sleep that I couldn't then go, oh, that was magic?
You know what? To me, it's more disturbing. To be able to go, that was marvellous, Dick. What the hell are you putting on your head?
Right, Lee, it's time to take a guess.
Well,
what do you think?
If he's not telling the truth, he's made life very hard for himself because he didn't have to say he was doing it for 23 years.
How long have you known him for?
I never slept with him.
No.
It's lie.
So it's a lie. So, Dara, are you telling the truth or was it a lie?
That scar that goes from there to there? Huh? Yeah? Nah, it's a lie.
It's a lie. Dara wasn't advised to sleep in a cycle helmet because of the violent nature of his dreams.
As a child, rather than sleeping with a comfort blanket or teddy bear, I slept with a potato.
Lee Mack, what do you think?
Was it the same potato, or did you have different potatoes over the years?
Well, that was the problem, because you get attached to a potato. So, when you get attached to a potato, it's rotting a bit, but it's your comfort. It's like your teddy bears, it smells of your old teddy bear, or whatever it happens to be. The potato is my favourite potato, and I used to draw on it.
So it was one potato the whole time?
The actual truth is, it was taken away from me, and I cried and I cried and I cried, but they threw it out. So it took me like another 3 or 4 weeks to get used to the new potato.
Dale, did they have names, your potatoes?
No.
You slept with a potato that you didn't even know its name?
Well...
Yes, slag!
Did you hug them? Did you have them close to your face?
I used to put it on the pillow like that, and I used to bash it.
Why did you bash it?
Is that how you show love, Dale?
What's the bashing?
Well, I used to like the dent it made in the pillow.
Oh, so you'd bash it onto the... and then you'd
And
sleep...
then I would take it out, so that's where you're going to bed later.
Be honest, Dale. Is the truth of this story that your parents would shout through the door, "What are you doing in there?" And you'd say, "Nothing, just bashing the potato"?
You haven't asked me why I stopped, and this is why you'll realise...
Dale, why did you stop?
Because Mrs. Marks, who was our next-door neighbour, I heard her talking to my mother in the driveway, and I heard Mrs. Marks say to my mother, "Is he still sleeping with a potato?" I think that they've been talking about it, and she probably said to Mrs. Marks, "Did any of your children ever want to sleep with a potato?"
So what are you thinking, Lee?
Miranda.
I sort of want it to be true, because he's so sweet.
Yeah.
I do think the two winning things are that that's where you're going to sleep, and Mrs. Marks.
Well, do you know what?
Is he still
That's the
sleeping
thing.
with...
I think Mrs. Marks exists.
Yeah.
And I like Mrs. Marks. I like what she represents. She represents the sanity of the street.
And the beauty
Whereas
is...
the Wintons, they're all over the shop.
So what are you going to say, Lee? What's it going to be?
What do you think?
Do
you think it's true?
I do think it's
I
true.
think it's true.
All right, I'll go with my team and say that it's true.
You're saying it's true. OK. Dale Winton, the potato in the bed. Was it the truth or was it a lie?
I have slept with many things over the years, because I'm a very old man, but I have never slept with a potato. It's a lie!
Yes, it was a very convincing lie. As a child, Dale didn't sleep with a potato. Our next round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. This week, each of David's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest, and it's up to Lee's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Tony. Welcome, Tony. Rhod, what is Tony to you?
This is Tony, and for 5 years he was my badminton doubles partner.
Right. Sally, what is your relationship with Tony?
This is my uncle Tony, and last year I asked to have a go on his mobility scooter, and I drove it into a pond and wrote it off.
Right. Finally, David, how do you know Tony?
This is Tony, and when I was little, he used to help me get to sleep by telling me bedtime stories about the war.
Isn't that lovely? There we are. So, Rhod's badminton buddy, Sally's scooterless uncle, or David's bedtime storyteller. Lee, before you start asking, I'm going to bring a chair on for you, and you can have a lovely sit down there. There we are. You relax there. Lee.
Sally, does he use the mobility scooter a lot?
Quite a lot. He's had 2 hip replacements.
So he can get by without the fact that he walked on fine tonight.
Yeah,
is...
sure.
He can get by. I don't think they're just for old people. You know, I've got a bath with a door. I think it's nice.
That was more a DIY mishap, though, wasn't it?
No, I think it's nice. Just open the door, step in, wait for 19 or 20 minutes while it slowly fills up in freezing cold. I think it's lovely.
Why did you take the mobility scooter in the first place?
Because I was going to play a psychopath in a film, or a psychopath on a mobility scooter. And I said, can I have a go? Because I can't drive a car.
Sally, how far did you drive before you went into the pond? What was the distance?
I didn't know I had it in reverse.
So you were very close to the pond?
So I wasn't far from the pond, but it was facing that way.
Right.
And I took it out of park the wrong way, and went backwards.
And was
into
your
the
uncle
pond.
with you at the time?
Yes.
How much instruction did Tony give you before you got on the mobility scooter?
Well, that he thought, as he said afterwards over tea, many, many times, that it was quite self-evident how one drove this thing. He said all it had was it's got a little, gear tiller, and he thought that even a nincompoop...
Backwards or forwards, that's about
Did you
it.
say gear tiller?
Yes, well...
That's a nautical expression. But you obviously felt, on some subconscious level, more comfortable at sea.
Did you buy your Uncle Tony another mobility scooter?
How much was that mobility scooter?
Yes, how much was that mobility scooter?
It was £1,500.
For a brand new mobility scooter?
For a brand new one?
Yes, because it...
Hang on, is that right, Des? Should we move on to Rob?
How long ago were they that you were playing badminton as doubles?
That we were doubles partners?
Yes. How many years
10,
ago?
15 years.
You were... and when did this end? When did this end?
We had to stop because I was getting on a bit.
And how did your partnership begin?
Well, we played for the same club.
What was the club called?
It was in West London.
West London, go on.
Yeah,
You can't remember the name of the club?
It was called Old Actonians.
Old Actonians Badminton Club?
Well, yes.
Did you wear the full gear, shorts and, looking...
No, I wore a miner's helmet and he wore a frogman's outfit. Of course we did
Did you ever win anything yourself and Tony?
We won a lot, yeah.
And why did you come about playing together then? Why didn't you go for someone, no disrespect to Tony, why didn't you go for someone a bit
Because
more...
we complimented each other's game.
When you say you complimented each other's game, you went, you're good, so are you. Come on.
Out of you two badminton players, Rhod, who would you say was the better?
Tony was a much, much better player than me. Tony played for England.
This started out, we were just knocking around in a West London club. Now, he is the Rafael Nadal of badminton.
Why, if he played for England, and he was so good, why is he choosing you to partner him?
I think it would be fair, and Tony wouldn't mind me saying that when I played with him, he'd have been probably I think he was in his early 70s.
Whoa, when you were playing with him?
When I was playing with him, yeah.
OK. The prime age for badminton. particularly international level. OK, David, what's your connection with Tony?
He lived next door when I was little.
And he read your bedtime stories?
He would occasionally babysit for me and my brother, and...
It's feasible.
Made up, or this was just his stories from the war?
Not out of a book, but ostensibly true.
Did he ever just shout them through the
I
wall?
We're surrounded by Germans, and so, basically...
I'm trying to get to sleep.
I don't care!
How old were you?
I think I would have been...
23.
I think it's around the time I was sort of 5, 6, 7, that sort of...
It could happen. I had another neighbour who would sing me nursery rhymes and bounce me on the knee and...
Am I the only one who had parents? Yeah. What's going on here?
I think perhaps what it was, Lee, with you, is that your parents found it very hard to find any other adult who was willing to take sole responsibility for you. Now, let me ask you this. Would Tony ever come round not for babysitting, but just to tell you some of these stories? Or would it only happen when he was babysitting?
I think it started when he was babysitting, but he'd come round quite a bit anyway with my parents.
David, you just did an upwards inflection. I've never heard you do that before. That's so not like you.
Right?
Sometimes he would come round anyway. What's happened to you?
I'm on national television. I'm getting a bit defensive about talking about my abuse-ridden childhood. That's all.
Of all the war stories that he told you that helped you go to sleep, what would you say was your favourite?
Well, I think the thing that I found most interesting was the story Tony told about his mother, who during the war worked in the library in Oxford.
This is the interesting one.
And what she had to do was they had to compile and analyse and place photographs of the Japanese coastline.
I'd say what, it's getting better. Carry on.
In preparation preparation for an invasion of Japan.
And you said, thank you, as a 5-year-old, that's very interesting.
No, because by the end of the story, I was asleep.
It's time for an answer, Lee. So, is Tony...
I'm still trying to get the idea in my head of just passing David's door and hearing a man inside play. I mean, obviously, with the coastal line of Tokyo, it's very hard to determine whether we should have a land invasion or by... Oh, you're asleep. Oh, OK.
My job is
Night-night. Tight. Don't let the Japanese invade.
I think Rhod we can discount. There were too many flaws.
I agree with you. I think it's one of the other two. And I got a horrible feeling that it's David in the middle there.
I know which one David is.
All right, what about the mobility scooter with Sally?
Have you ever taken your driving test?
No, I've never even taken it.
Never learned to drive.
You can't emphasise the word even if it's the same thing. Have you ever taken your driving test? I've not even taken it.
So Lee's team, is Tony Rhod's badminton buddy, Sally's scooterless uncle, or David's bedtime storyteller? What are you going to say?
It's not Rhod.
It is. Tess, what are you going for?
Sally.
Sally?
I think David.
And in a weird way, I've now gone back to Rhod. I am, thank you. You see it in his little Welsh eyes. But you're not. In his little devious Welsh eyes. And trust me, if there's one thing I know about working on this show, it's a little devious Welsh eyes. Rhod or Sally?
Or Sally?
It's Sally.
Sally?
Yeah, it's Sally.
It's Sally.
Sally. Right. Tony, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Tony, and Rhod was my badminton partner for 5 years.
Yes, Tony was Rhod's badminton doubles partner. Tony, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
It's Christian.
Possession.
Ah, OK. Now, look at that thing next to you with a drape over it. First of all, pop that up onto the desk, keeping it hidden under the drape. And then, before you unveil the object, would you read the card out, please?
This is my monkey, Elsie. She watches over me while I sleep.
And now, please, reveal Elsie.
Oh, I'm so sorry, David. She could have shaved.
This is a dead monkey, isn't it?
Oh, my.
Yeah, you should know.
Oh, no, love.
So look at that. Is Elsie stuffed?
No, she's very well trained.
What disappointed her so badly when she died? What was...
Dying.
Death.
So where did you find Elsie? Did you kill her yourself?
I was flicking through a magazine of interiors, and in the magazine was an advert for a shop that sells fireplaces.
And monkeys.
And on the fireplace was an arrangement of objets, including the monkey. So I phoned up the place that sold fireplaces and said, "Oi, give us your monkey." And they did.
What's the story with the tiara?
But just out of interest, completely separate subject. Does anyone think that Camilla will ever become queen? What do you think? I just thought I'd throw it open, just have a discussion. What do you think? I didn't mean the monkey with the crown.
Wait, and that's genuinely a stuffed monkey. Can we have a look at it? Shall we go?
It's genuinely a stuffed monkey. Yeah.
Are we allowed to inspect it?
Yeah, you can inspect his monkey if you want to.
Why don't we bring the monkey to you?
Yeah, look, what are you doing, all three of you? You look like an actor you'd had in the Royal Variety Show in the 1970s.
I'm going to have to stretch my legs at this point.
I'll bring it to you.
All right.
Come on.
I'm just wandering around.
Come on, I'll bring it to you.
It's chaos.
Join me. Come on, join me.
Can we have a look at the tiara?
I've left the tiara.
Yes, let's have a look at the tiara.
Where's the tiara?
Oh, my God, it's terrifying.
You know when you're asleep, Christian, and you wake up in the middle of the night and she's looking down on you with that glum expression, doesn't it unsettle or unnerve you?
No, I find her very sort of Soothing.
Monkey!
So what are you going to say, David? Is it the truth or is it a lie?
I'm going to hand that back. I think you should be insuring that.
Not for theft, I wouldn't have said. Not for theft.
It looks like he's just won a wildlife BAFTA.
Is it the truth? Is this a tall story or is it the truth?
You think it's a lie?
Yes.
I think we all think
it's a lie.
I think Christian's a very good actor.
So you're saying that it is then
a lie.
A lie. OK. Christian, was it the truth or was it in fact a lie?
It is in fact true.
Very well played. Good work. Yes, that was all true. Christian does have a stuffed monkey who watches over him while he sleeps. Right, Phil Tufnell, you're next.
Right. OK. I'm haunted by a recurring dream in which I'm a potato.
David. OK. How does the dreaming realisation that you're a potato manifest itself?
I'm being chased.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, of course, because potatoes get chased all the time.
I'm being chased by a pitchfork.
How do you know you're a potato?
Because you can't move.
No, I can't. I've got... It's like Mr. Potato Head. I wear a little trilby hat, little legs, and I'm running along the garden like that. With a pitchfork trying to poke me. And I'm sort of climbing up trees and things, and the pitchfork sort of going for me. And
has it ever caught you?
No, it has never caught me yet. And then, just as it is going to catch me, I think I wake up.
What do you think that the pitchfork wants to do? Is it attempting to harvest you?
It's a family show.
I think all the
heavy with symbolism, David.
Yes,
it is.
I mean, there's a lot of
sturdy steel of the pitchfork, the soft, pliant flesh of the potato. I'm getting a little worked up just thinking about it, to be honest with you.
He didn't say it was boiled, did he?
I think it's baked.
Oh, it is baked.
So you're a baked potato?
I think I'm a baked...
What are you doing in the garden if you've already been cooked?
How long have you had this dream?
I've had it...
He only has it when he's mashed.
Yeah, I think quite a bit, actually, you know. It's quite at the forefront of my dream.
I'm just sitting here listening to you. You could be related to Len Goodman from Strictly Come Dancing. Could you just say for me... Look at that, yeah. Your paso doble was lovely. I liked it. It was cool. You're a bit over there, but you're trying hard. I'm going to give you 6. I'm doing Len Goodman from Strictly Come Dancing. What do you think, David?
Well, it's possible, isn't it? What do you think?
I'm not convinced.
I think it's, without question, a lie, because when he was asked how the potato was moving, I actually saw Phil's brain working to think of the Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah. It is true that lots of people have dreams, don't they, where they're being sort of chased, don't they? That's quite a natural thing.
Yes, generally they haven't become a root vegetable.
You think it could be true, don't you?
Look, my brain is shot by this game. I think anything could be true.
I am so sure it's a lie.
Well, we're going to say it's a lie, then.
It's going to say it's a lie. OK. Phil Tufnell, were you telling the truth or were you lying?
I was telling...
No! It's true. Phil is haunted by a recurring dream in which he is a potato. There's a technical term for Phil Tufnell turning into a potato. It's called evolution.
I have a recurring dream in which a monkey in silver hot pants feeds me soup from a bowler hat.
Oh!
Please, team.
Do you find primates attractive?
It's that primates find me attractive.
Well, we've seen that with Mickey earlier.
When was the first time you had this dream?
I've been having this dream since adolescence.
OK, what kind of monkey is it?
I don't know exactly what type. It's a bit like a capuchin monkey. It's quite small.
Are they the ones with the frothy bit and the chocolate on their head?
How does the dream affect you when you wake from a night having had this dream? Do you awake fulfilled? Are you a better... That's not what I meant, and you know that. Do you wake in a good frame of mind, or are you troubled?
I am satisfied, I am sated, I am replete.
Where are you in the dream when the monkey's... Is he feeding you, did you say?
What are you wearing? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, what are you wearing?
I never noticed that. It doesn't form part of the dream.
Do you think there's any amorous connotations to this dream? You know, you got the little Kylie Minogue hot pants on. Probably why you can't get it out of your head. And you've got...
So what do you think? Could this be true?
I think it's so brilliant. But I think Fiona might just be a fantastic liar.
She was very quick on her answers. I think it was...
True.
I think it's true.
Let's go true.
We'll go with true.
OK. Fiona Bruce, truth or lie?
It is a lie.
Oh! You did it
Last month, I had a frightening dream in which I was locked in the stocks of a medieval town. When I awoke, I was disturbed to discover that my arms were through the leg holes of my pyjama bottom.
Please, team.
How?
I'm not demonstrating again, no. So you mean not only through the top of the pyjama bottom, but right the way through, showing at the end of the leg hole?
Yes. I was wearing them, as it were, twice.
Tell us about the dream itself.
It's impressions. I remember the...
Give us those.
The smell of manure.
Oh, David, not again.
I could hear horses clattering around, you know, clip-clopping.
What was the crime you'd committed?
I don't know what the crime was.
You don't know
I
the
don't
crime?
know. All I remember, and you'll be familiar with this, is a deep sense of shame. and being dragged along, and I was a sort of figure of shame, and things were being thrown at me, cabbages, that sort of thing. And then I was put in roughly, by which I mean unpleasantly, not approximately, put in the village stocks, yeah.
You must have had quite a wide-legged trouser to get your
it was quite
arms down.
I'll be completely honest. My trousers had gone down a bit.
By that point, then, your genitals are effectively sort of trapped in a hinge created by your stomach and your insides.
Well, that's
probably why you were screaming.
That's the only way I can get to sleep. No, my trousers had gone down to the knees.
Right.
And my arms were through the trouser legs.
Do you really call them pyjama trousers?
I suspect I've used both terms.
Oh. Do you call it a pyjama jacket, the top bit?
No.
That's pyjama top.
I actually, to be honest, I call the whole thing a night uniform.
All right, what do you think, Liz? Is David telling the truth?
It's the pyjama bit I don't believe.
You don't believe he wears pyjamas in bed? Oh, that is the only bit I do believe.
No, because I think he wears a nightshirt.
Yes, good point.
I'm not inclined to believe it.
Right, OK. Well, I'll say it's a lie.
You think it's a lie?
I think it's a lie.
David, were you telling the truth or were you telling a lie?
Well, I was telling a lie.
I once spent the night in Millets after falling asleep in the tent.
David's team.
Which branch of Millet?
It was up in Kendal.
When was this?
5-6 years ago.
5-6 years ago. And what were you going to Millets for?
I had a big argument with my child and my nephew. We had the camper van, and I said, have you got your coats? Yes. Have you got everything? Yes, yes. Stop being boring. We got there, and they hadn't brought any one with the gear. Not even a cagoon. I then left them. They pulled off. You know the bit where you go, there's no internet, go and play. When they got playing, got talking to this family, got about it, and the dad said to me, you go off, you know what I mean, get them some coats, they're fine with us. I went to Millets, and there was one of them ridiculous, stupid, like, back in 5 minutes we'll be open. I won't lie, there was a pub opposite.
Well, you might, because of the format.
All right, yes, OK. There was a pub over the road. I went to the pub. Eventually, I saw a light on. I went in, and I couldn't find the guy. And I thought, I'll hide in the tent and surprise him.
Quite natural.
Of course.
No, because part of me was annoyed that he'd gone so long. It wasn't like, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Right.
By the time I left the pub, I thought jumping out of a tent was a good idea.
Right.
And I zipped it up and I just fell asleep.
And when were you discovered?
I set off the alarm.
Where were your children were still with this family you'd left them?
They seemed trustworthy.
No, this is on a campsite.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
But did you know the family?
We met on that day. I mean, like, his dad seemed very competent at pushing a swing. I didn't, like, abandon him. I thought I was coming back in half an hour.
How long were you gone?
About 9 hours.
What did the family say to you when you turned up?
They wouldn't believe that I'd fallen asleep. And the fact is, the thing that really thing of it was, I set the alarm off, people turned up.
Who?
Police and the manager. And then he wouldn't turn the till on to sell me 2 coats.
So what do you think? Martin, what are you thinking?
You going in the pub and going into minutes and falling asleep, I can believe. The other family just going, oh, yeah, it's fine, you came back.
I didn't say they said it was fine.
Yeah,
they weren't happy with it.
I think they would have done more. It's possible, but I'll go with lie.
I think it's true.
You think it's true?
I think.
You think it's a lie? I'm going to go true.
You're saying it's true?
Yeah.
OK, Johnny, truth or lie?
Lie.
Yes, it's a lie. Johnny didn't spend the night in millets.
I once fell asleep mid-haircut and woke up hours later to find the barber had gone home.
Ah, David's team.
Well, interesting, because I think I might have dozed off mid-haircut.
Now, look at your haircut, David. I think the hairdresser dozed off, didn't he?
So you fell asleep during the haircut?
Yeah. I get a bit of head massage, you know, it gets... But I feel like I kind of like the sound of the shavers.
The buzz, the constant buzz.
It's relaxing.
It's like, it's like the...
You know what it's like?
Yeah,
you know that thing?
Like relaxing white noise.
Yeah, got
it. So where was this? What about the other people in the salon? How did they react?
It wasn't in the salon, it was at home.
Oh.
It was a personal barber
you
that came.
have a barber that comes to your house?
To the house. So I think at that time it was quite late as well. You know, come after work, you know what I mean?
And so the last thing you knew, you were in the middle of the haircut, there was the nice... perhaps you could do the noise.
Well, it's something like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, your Bruce Forsyth impression's not getting any better, is
it? So, what time did you wake up?
The next day.
What? You fell asleep like that?
Yeah.
I woke up the next day with the apron still on. My neck was in a bad way.
Yeah.
Was the hair everywhere, or did he hoover? Because that could wake you up.
Yeah, I did that when I woke up. I thought, it's time to tidy up.
You were in a kind of a circle of your own hair.
He hadn't cleaned up the hair at all.
No, and he forgot his apron as well.
You didn't pay him, did you?
No.
Like, he would want to be paid, so you would think he would wake you up violently.
Is that what you do?
Does it have to be violently, does it?
I think there's a grain of truth in this, and it is very easy to fall asleep in that kind of cosseting, comfortable environment, but I think you're over-embellishing it a little bit too much, so I think it is a lie.
Well, I think my team thinks it's a lie.
You're going to say lie?
I think we'll say lie.
OK, so, Mist, was it true or was it a lie?
It was the truth.
Well done.